Only at 20 did Virginia native Joseph Jenkins Roberts leave Petersburg for now Liberia on February 9, 1829. Roberts, his mother Amelia, and 5 of his 6 siblings boarded the Harriet with hopes of spreading Christianity to the indigenous people of Africa. Roberts and his family are only a handful of thousands of free blacks that immigrated to Liberia from Virginia via the American Colonization Society. Former Presidents James Monroe and Andrew Jackson, and author of the Star-Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key, were all members and supporters of the Society for the Colonization of Free People of Color in the United States, better known as the American Colonization Society. Founded in Washington, D.C. on December 21, 1816, the ACS was a direct vision of successful Quaker ship owner of Ashanti and Wampanoag descent, Paul Cuffey. The American Colonization Society was founded for many different reasons. Some members were genuine allies of free blacks and wanted more for them, while others wanted the institution of slavery maintained, but the United States rid of free blacks. No matter the motives of the society, the ACS had a huge part in sending free blacks to Africa away from racism and slavery in the United States. In 1819, the ACS received $100,000 from U.S. Congress, and on February 6, 1820, the first ACS charter ship, Elizabeth, sailed from New York to West Africa. The ACS will purchase freedom of American slaves and pay their passage to Liberia. In 1822, the ACS raised the stakes in Liberia after Lieutenant Robert Stockton put a pistol to the head of King Peter in an effort to persuade him to sell Cape Montserrat to the ACS. In May 1825, a treaty was eventually signed by King Peter and other native kings to sell Cape Montserrat for 500 bars of tobacco, 3 barrels of rum, 5 casks of powder, 5 umbrellas, 10 iron posts, and 10 pairs of shoes. The ACS employed white agents to govern the colony until 1842, when former Petersburg native, now Americo-Liberian, Joseph Jenkins Roberts becomes the first non-white governor of Liberia. The Roberts family, Joseph, and his 2 brothers Henry and John, became the dominant men concerning politics, medicine, and Methodism during the flourishing of the colony of Liberia. Henry, originally a trader, traveled back to the United States to study medicine, but returned to practice in Liberia. John became the bishop of the Liberian Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church. Joseph, however, became the center and face of the new Republic of Liberia. After serving 6 years as governor, Roberts ascended to the presidency when Liberia gained statehood in 1847. Roberts became the poster boy for black achievement in Liberia. Roberts held the office of president until 1856, but remained a public official until 1874, then meeting death only 2 years later in March of 1876. Among other Americo-Liberians making a stake for black achievement was John Day, Jr., a Baptist minister from Hicksford, now Emporia, Virginia. After an unsuccessful missionary trip to Haiti, Day turned to Liberia. In 1830, Day, his wife, and 4 children left Virginia for Liberia. While in Liberia, Day worked closely with the people of Grand Bassa. He worked for many decades as a teacher and missionary for both American and Southern Baptist conventions. Day also served on the Supreme Court from 1854 to his death in 1859. Day became the face and voice of the movement to Christianize Africa until his death. At the age of 14, Hilary Teague left Richmond, Virginia, with the Providence Baptist Church to immigrate to Liberia. After receiving some education in Sierra Leone, Teague permanently returned to Liberia to become a Baptist minister, editor, and advocate of settler control in Liberia. Although scarcely alone in his opinions, Teague was fiercely charismatic and sure of his cause. Teague rose in political activism and ranks. In 1838, he helped draft a new constitution to replace ACS laws. In 1844 through 1845, he published a history of the colony, and eventually in 1847, Teague wrote the Liberian Declaration of Independence. Hilary Teague was a passionate man and used his anger, fueled by exclusion in Virginia, to fuel a larger flame, later to become known as Liberia. Through the lens of the American Colonization Society, these free blacks prospered and showed the world that blacks were not inferior. The ACS had many underlying and over-encompassing motives. Whether it be racism or equality, the ACS caused over 3,000 free blacks to flee Virginia for Liberia. These Virginians, and many more, leave a legacy of triumph over oppression and building a republic despite the naysayers. From the groundwork laid by Paul Cuffey to the drafting of the Liberian Declaration of Independence by Hilary Teague, the Republic of Liberia was founded due to the ferocity, courage, and strength of free Virginia blacks.